Okay. 6:30. Start. Everybody. Welcome everyone to the June 11th, 2024 business meeting of the Lincoln County School District Board of Directors. And we're going to have the reading of the land acknowledgement, starting with Mike Ross.
We ask that you take a moment to stop what you are doing, to listen to these words and to recognize the land that you currently inhabit. No matter where each of us is physically located in Lincoln County, you must understand that we are on traditional homelands and unceded territories of indigenous peoples. Where we live in Lincoln County, these are the ancestral homelands for the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians.
Lincoln County School District acknowledges the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians that consists of over 30 bands originating from Northern California to Southern Washington. The Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians currently occupy and manage 9,310 acres located here in Lincoln County, but this is a mere fraction of their original 1855 1.1 million acre Siletz Coastal Reservation. We must remember the people of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians are and will forever be the first stewards of this land, water, and fish.
We acknowledge and recognize the continued sovereignty of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians and honor their ancestral homelands. We are committed to bringing awareness to their history and the existence of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians since time immemorial.
Thank you, Liz. Moving on, we will establish a quorum, but first, Oregon law prohibits discrimination in all public elementary and secondary schools that receive state funding, including discrimination based on perceived race, color, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, or national origin. All comments during our public board meetings will support these policies. I would like to highlight two of these policies: AC, non-discrimination, and ACB, every student belongs, in regards to appropriate public comments. We will establish a quorum by roll call. Liz Martin.
Present.
Megan Colley.
Present.
Centella McKinley.
Yeah.
Mike Ross.
Present.
And I am here, Peter Vinci, as chair, so we have a quorum. Dr. Tolan, do we have any introductions tonight?
No, we'll have speakers later. We'll introduce them at that time.
Okay, very well. So at this point, the district budget committee met on May 16th, 2024 and approved the 2024-25 adopted budget. A public hearing is required in order to allow for public comment. We will now recess into a public hearing to listen to public comments regarding the 2024-25 adopted budget. Do we have any public comments on the 24-25 adopted budget? Nothing submitted. And nothing was submitted? Okay. So in that case, we are going to adjourn the public hearing. It's closed, and we will now resume our regular business meeting. I know that's a little pro forma, but it's required. So we will now move into communications. Do we have any written communication today?
None.
And we do have a blue card, but it's on a topic that's not on the agenda, so that will be saved for the second opportunity for public comment at the end of the meeting. Tonight, we're going to go on to recognition. So we have several special recognitions to share. And Gonna go to the first one is Mike Rawls shared with me today as board chair that he would be offering his resignation effective today. So on behalf of the board and the Lincoln County School District, I would like to thank Mike Rawls for his service to the students, staff, and patrons of the Lincoln County School District. Mike Rawls has served on this board for 3 years, dedicating his time and energy to ensuring the best possible education for our students. The support of the music program in the Lincoln County School District, our equity policy, and his high interest in Sam Case, Quinn View Elementary Schools and Newport Middle School have been invaluable assets to our district. While we are sad to see Mike go, we understand and respect his decision to move to Salem to be closer to family members. Mike, your voice, passion, and commitment to our school community will be deeply missed. We wish you all the very best in your future endeavors. So at this point, Mike, we have plaque for you to honor your service.
We have luckily CTE programs on site, so when we just found out about this today, Board Chair Vinci and I, we were able to still put together a session. And I believe reading that the resignation is not until the end of the board meeting. So although we're recognizing you during public recognition, you can't get up and walk out.
Okay,
Thank you, Mike, for all you've done.
thank you. And I just will add that the board will be developing the process for filling his vacancy, and we'll keep the public informed of our next steps. Okay, he's going to do some research on that.
If I may say something.
Absolutely.
I love where we've gone the last 3 years I've been here. What I pointed out to Peter today, and I said it to somebody else. One of the things that I really enjoyed was waking up one morning and hearing a young man next door to me playing an instrument in 3rd grade. Our dedication in this district to art and music are really a big deal. Don't let that go. That you have to nurture both sides of the brain. Now, every kid's a mathematician or a scientist. Other kids are art oriented, are different type of thinkers. And this is important. I've seen other districts that let it go. It didn't work. So stay on top of this. Develop the Performing Arts Center, develop the kids. It's really critical. That's the way I feel. So thank you for doing it.
Thanks, Mike.
Welcome.
At this point, we would like to hand out the Tom Moore Memorial Award. Tom Moore Memorial Award is an annual award given to an individual who best exemplifies the volunteer spirit. It is named for former school board member Tom Moore, who gave his all to the district and community. In his honor, the board gives the award to a community member who also gives his or her heart and soul to the students of our district. This year, the board is pleased to recognize Alma Simon from Waldport. Alma, would you please come up?
You can come. Yeah, sure.
Congratulations.
She has been out in front this way.
Get over here for the picture, get away from me.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Shake your hand.
It's a really big deal.
Okay, thank you. And this is for you. That's all it takes?
I take it they got you here without you knowing?
A little bit.
Nice, good work. I heard them plotting earlier, so.
So Alma, we're not quite done with you. I have a letter here written by Sandy Battles that I'd like to read. about your nomination. So this is to the LST. I am writing to nominate Alma Simon for the 2024 Tom Moore Memorial Award. Alma has been an exceptional member of the Crestview Heights school community, consistently going above and beyond to support our staff and students. This year alone, Alma has dedicated over 200 hours of her time to various tasks that benefit our school. One of her notable contributions is her invaluable assistance in the office, where she tirelessly helps with tasks that benefit all staff members. From organizing supplies to answering phones and directing students to the support they need, Alma supports the daily operations of our school to help us run smoothly. Special project requests by teachers are fulfilled by Alma every week, essentially giving valuable time back to teachers. Additionally, Alma's creative talents shine through in her creation of bulletin boards that celebrate our students' achievements. Whether it's recognizing our Student of the Month or creating seasonal boards to uplift the spirits of our students, Alma's dedication to creating a positive and motivating environment is evident. Her commitment doesn't stop there. Alma played a crucial role during our office remodel last year, where she helped pack and unpack the office, organize supplies, and ensure that we were ready for the start of the school year. Her willingness to take on any task, no matter how big or small, is truly admirable. Alma's positive attitude, strong work ethic, and unwavering support make her a deserving candidate for the Tom Moore Memorial Award. She exemplifies the spirit of dedication and service that this award represents. Thank you for considering Alma Simon for this prestigious recognition. Sincerely, Sandy Battles, Principal, Crestview Heights School. And Eddie informs me you're welcome to go if you don't want to stick around. It's a bonus.
I told them they needed to take you out to dinner after this.
I will make sure they do, thank you.
And now we'll move on to superintendent's awards. Dr. Toll, would you share the winners of the superintendent's awards this year?
Yeah, I just wanted to recognize the superintendent's award. We had a celebration in May, but not everybody was able to be there. They're not all able to be here tonight either, but we did award Michelle Cottrell, who's our district media specialist, with the superintendent's award. Brian Fresky, who is here. If you want to stand, Brian. If I made an assumption, Michelle is not here because I didn't see her. She is not happy. She is not here. And also I wanted to recognize Rich Bologna. We recognized our entire facilities and maintenance department for the work they've been doing all year, always. But this year, especially just keeping things going and in a moment's notice, stop what they're doing to go and fix the next thing in a different place and then get back to their regular day. So Rich, you can go ahead and stand to be recognized. Right, thank you.
Okay. At this time, we would like to call up Wilda Cafaretta from the Oregon National Resources Education Fund, and we would also like to call up Amy Skirvin, principal at Waldport High School, and Jeff Skirvin, Waldport High School forestry teacher.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll stand up, I feel better about it. All right.
That's totally fine.
I'm Lily Cafaretta, this is my husband Steve Cafaretta, and I want to thank you for making time in your agenda for us. I'm a school board member myself, I know how busy you are. Thank you very much. Also, we don't live in Lincoln County, but we own timberland here, and we manage our timberland here, so we pay Lincoln County taxes.
Thank you.
But the reason we're here is to represent ONREF, and ONREF is Organized Resources Education Fund. And it sounds like a fund, and it is a fund, but it's also a 501(c)(3) organization with a board and advisors. And I'm an advisor to that board for Oregon Small Business Association, and Steve's an advisor for the Society of American Foresters, and also the Pleasant Hill Sub Fund. And there's several sub funds, and they're all under the Oregon Community Foundation, and they manage our funds for us. So ONREF was founded in 2001 with the mission of supporting natural resource education in urban high schools. And we're all very passionate about sustainable forestry and helping students understand the value of forest industry and the forest profession and managing orange forests. So our funding comes from donations from the forest industry, from the Society of American Foresters, from Oregon Small Woodland Association, and lots of individual donors. Again, we believe in the importance of natural resource education so that generations of Oregonians can not only learn to appreciate and love their forests, and care about their forests, but also kind of give them the skills and the tools to care for their forests and take care of them so that they'll be sustainable way into the future. And Steve will tell you more of some of the details.
Yeah, there's a question. Here we are.
Yeah, you should be able to cite it up a little bit.
I'll just make sure you can hear, all right? We have 41 schools in Oregon that are CTE accredited in natural resources, and Walport is one of them. There's 11 more schools that are working towards accreditation and 30 others that have natural resource classes. And I'd just like to mention to you that when we started on REP 23 years ago, there were only 9 schools in the whole state. So there's been a lot of progress made in natural resource education. And currently our fund is a little over $449,000. So it's not a huge fund, but it's one that we managed to put together with a lot of donations from a lot of people and a lot of our organizations. Each year we award grants totaling about 4% of our fund. And that makes it a sustainable fund, and we're trying to grow it, of course, as well. Not unlike the way we manage our forests, where we try to keep them exactly sustainable by not over harvesting or but managing them to produce for forest products forever. In 2024, we funded 11 grants in high school natural resource programs. And since our beginning, we've funded 79 grants, which have impacted really many thousands of students. So we're really pleased to announce that the ONREP grant this year goes to Jeff Skirvin at Walport High School in support of his request. And I'm hoping that, Jeff, you can tell them a little bit of how you plan to use these funds.
Oh, well, so we were able to get some forestry equipment, some chainsaws and some climbing gear and stuff like that. So we're really hoping to want to do more work-based learning. Right, so be able to go out in the community and do different projects, and then also with our Walport School, actually behind the tractor has I think it's probably, we should know about 10 acres of timber that needs to be, you know, it can be bent, it can be, it's all pretty small right now, you know, and it's definitely needs to be a really good training ground and a nice little working forest for our forestry class. So, and then, so with this year, we're going to be able to do projects outside on that stuff too, and start managing that ground. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I think our science teacher comes in from you guys. We did. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so moving on to a report from the LCA, you have Janice and Trevor.
On the mic. There you go. Janice Venture, Lincoln County Education Association President. You know, it is the end of the year. I just rushed over here from the 8th grade promotion ceremony to the junior senior high. Of course, we had graduation ceremony on the weekend. You know, it's a bittersweet time. We're all stressed. We're trying to get things done. And then we're also, you know, emotionally saying goodbye to these children that we've invested in for 9 to 10 months, sometimes longer, depending on how long we've had those kids, and then, you know, wishing them well and then getting ready for a whole new group. So it's just status quo life as that happens in schools, but you know, it's a lot of fun and everybody's doing a great job. So that's pretty much all I have. But speaking of really great jobs, Trevor's gonna throw out some educator shout outs for you.
What a great segue. I have 4 shout outs for you. The board, this incorrectly says that Karen is at Toledo Elementary, Karen is at Taft Elementary, so sorry about that.
I copy and pasted.
I know, no, it was entirely my fault. Anyway, Karen is one of the best music teachers that this educator's had the pleasure of working with. Holds the students to a level of rigor in her class. I had the opportunity to speak with her about, sorry, I'm going off script a little bit. I had the opportunity to speak with her about working with students with disabilities in music program, and she had like such amazing things to say about like, oh, well, you know, these are some of the things that I do in my classroom that I'd love to see happening in some of the other classrooms, like the boom whackers and the boom whacker videos are a really great way to engage them in music at an early age. She's such a knowledgeable music teacher. And when this person here says, she holds the students to a level of rigor in her class, I really love that statement because it really applies to every single student, which really touches my heart. She's also a really invaluable member of our organization as well. She's really stepped up to the plate and helped us out a lot the last couple of years. The second person here is JoBeth Ruby. She teaches 7th grade ELA, advanced ELA, and middle school success. She gets to know all of her students deeply. They're reading The Outsiders, and they're doing a reader's theater this week, which has students really excited to read out loud, which is a sentence I didn't expect to read. Number 3 of 4, Trevor Tangen, Toledo Junior Senior. Love a good Trevor. As the Toledo TOSA, Trevor's been an amazing influence this year. Through their work with him, educators have been able to solve behavioral and academic challenges for students. I've heard a lot, not just from Janice, but from many Toledo junior senior staff that having that person in-house has been really invaluable for them. Hear nothing but good things about him. And this person's become a better teacher thanks to his presence and commitment. And then finally, I personally want to shout out Samantha Murphy here at Newport High School. She teaches language arts and global studies here. She's always going the extra mile for her students. She does a huck spin raft race at the reservoir in the fall, which is always a hoot. She works on the Ivy English field trip for her senior event. She's spending time providing enriching activities inside and outside the school setting. She takes her homeroom on field trips. And she also takes the time to help arrange our Newport High School work retreat in the summer, where NHS staff volunteer their time to collaborate on projects and curriculum for next year. She heads that up and makes it go so smoothly and makes that week so valuable for all of our educators here at Newport. So 4 teachers for you, all amazing. Thank you so much this year for listening to me tell you about these wonderful educators, not just in June, but everything we've been presented. There are more. We have so many incredible educators. So hope to have you guys hear more to come. Thank you.
Since it's fairly new, you know, it's a good time to kind of look back on it. And personally, I'd say that I really enjoy it. I like what you're saying, the shout outs for the teachers.
I'll second it.
It's really nice, and I know it takes some extra time to put it together, but I think it's really good for everybody at the table.
Absolutely. And if you have any suggestions, anything you want to hear more about, we would love to hear them.
Perfect.
I really like hearing what you guys think is important. Like, I feel like from my perspective, this really helps us stay engaged with the teachers and the teachers' perspective, and of course, that's also the students. That's your job. So if you guys think it's important, for me, I feel like it's important.
Well, and these are filled out by educators from the entire district, so it's not just, you know, who Trevor and I like today. Although admittedly, 2 of those were Trevor and I. But yeah, we do get them from all over the district, and people love sharing, you know, the cool things that they see their neighbors doing and their colleagues doing, so yeah. That's awesome.
That's great, thank you.
So we will now move into reports. And we're going to make a brief change to the agenda by moving the Brown and Brown insurance presentation to this portion of the meeting. Oh, sorry, did I jump ahead?
We are really, quick. I just would like to call Principal Raina Maxton up to just explain to the board where they can find the student report or what that would have been. It's not actually students, so you're not wrong. But it's a cool reason why they did it. So.
Yeah, so this year we completed our IB self-study, which is essentially a huge accreditation for the IB program. We are required to do it every 5 years. And one of our goals this year was to increase IB for all. And part of IB is community service. That's a huge component of it. So it's creativity, action, and service. And so our goal this year was to have all homeroom classes participate in a community service project where they had student leaders. So it was a student activity. They picked what they wanted to do. They did it. And then we created a video that kind of showed the different projects. So the video is in the board report. If you click on it, it takes you right to the video. It's about 10 minutes. It includes projects like a coin drive for Dale Wood, who's going through cancer treatment, Avamere, landscaping project, so all kinds of things, but it just kind of shows you one of the things we're trying to do here at Newport High to build student agency in IB and with community service.
Thank you. And then just, you can keep going right now, that's awesome. But I did want Newport principals, if you could just stand really quick. They normally would have been the area report today, but Newport is lucky enough to be the June and the August board meetings. So they will give their board report in August to kick off our school year instead of giving it twice in a row in report. But here they are. So thank you all. They're here and I even told them that they could leave if they wanted, and here they are. So what I saw in solidarity, I believe, was the group. Awesome. So thank you all for being here. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
So now we'll hear from Brown and Brown. And Kim, if you could make that introduction, that'd be excellent.
So we have Jeff Sinclair here. He is our insurance agent from Brown & Brown Insurance, Brown & Brown Northwest. He is going to talk to us about our insurance renewal package.
Hi there, good evening. First of all, I found out that you guys are doing wrap braces and chainsaws as your insurance agent. No.
Actually, not.
No.
I'm really glad to know that we've checked with him on both of them.
You have on all things, and actually, I want to bring that up because Kim and her team are very active in calling me and saying, okay, so we're thinking about doing this. And so first we talk about, is it covered or not? Is there an exclusion or not? And then how do we make it better? And Jeff was a great example of that. We were gonna call him just a week and a half ago, went through an entire program that's in the works, and it's great. So that kind of partnership is what makes sense early before like, oh, we're doing it this weekend. So thank you for that. And by the way, I was a drummer from 4th grade to a senior in high school, percussionist, Reynolds Raiders, 1992. So I agree with music 100%. All right, let's go to page 3. Do you guys have this document?
It's in the folder.
Okay.
We're moving it up to present it.
There you go. So the first thing on page 3 is just talk to you about the overall insurance market. You all have insurance, I'm guessing, so you've seen increases in your auto insurance a lot probably. Maybe your homeowners insurance and otherwise. This really has to do with the overall global marketplace. I hate saying supply chain over and over again, but it is real. If you have a car that is damaged, destroyed, or has some mechanical problems, you're likely not going to get a part for that for a long time. So I would just be aware that that's a cost of driving some things. Are you guys all okay?
We're jumping ahead at the 12B1 as far as that.
Sorry, they put me early.
Okay.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I know.
I'm on page 3. Okay, thank you. And by the way, any questions, please shout out and ask them. I'm here for you, so please don't be shy. The overall insurance that you purchase for property and casualty is through PACE, property and casualty coverage for education. It's a risk pool. It's not an insurance company, and so something to be aware of is how risk pools work is they gather all the K-12s in the state of Oregon, except for not Beaverton, not Portland, not Salem Kaiser, they're self-insured. But every other K-12 is involved in PACE, every ESD, every community college, and about 30 to 40 charter schools are all in PACE. And how you manage that is, since it's not an insurance company, they are basically have a pool of risk, and then they buy large policies to provide each person or each group a set amount of coverages. And so it is shared. So there are coverages where if it's terrible, $550 million is lost, that limits your insurance on your side. So that's just a part of being in a pool. And that's what, like I say, every K-12 but 3 are involved in. So being a part of that giant group does give you some purchasing power. And so it's helped to shield you from the national and international markets, which doesn't feel great when we've been delivering large increases year over year. But trust me, my self-insured large counties, school districts, cities, they've been seeing 25, 35, 40% increases for the last 3 years. So you are well protected being a part of this risk pool. That's a very good thing. Overall, cyber has leveled off because it was very difficult at first. Liability tends to still be a sticking point for many K-12 school districts. It's employment practices, it's sex abuse and molestation. Those are two that actually drive almost all of the dollars that PACE is spending on your behalf. And if you think about the idea of abuse, this can happen 20 years ago, you're hearing that today. And so when we talk about limits for liability, which includes the sex abuse and molestation that you're buying today, it's a lot of money. It's actually $20 million per occurrence you're purchasing, which is a lot. But you could be sued or find out that a bad act may take place in 20 years. So it's future money, future judgments, future court cases coming back to this current policy. That's why you need to have higher limits and things that would have a long tail. Does that make sense? Great. A part of that, by the way, is PACE has hired a abuse and molestation prevention specialist because they understand the risks. And so you guys have already met with Mackenzie Nix before. I know Kim's dealt with her a few times. And so she's a free resource to you and your staff and your team about the abuse and molestation trainings and other things like that. And so Kim's been very good about being a part of that process. And so keep that going. All right, the money, number 4, why we're here. This is the party. Here we go. Your expiring premium for PACE is $805,000. The new premium is $909,000. We were anticipating a 15% increase. We were hoping that it would be closer to 10, and then we had a fairly large $20 million winter storm in the valley, which caused about $22 million worth of damage. So the average increase is between 12.5% and 15% we're seeing. You're below that, which is great, but it's still real money. This is still $800,000 on the PACE side. What that means a little bit, but that is there.
And they're budgeted 20%, so we're covered.
And remind me, it's lower than it was last year, right? Or the
No.
year before?
Work comp has had a fluctuation, but not property and casualty.
Okay.
No, it's okay. That's a great question. Yeah. Property and casualty in the last 4 years has been uncommonly high. Like the increases, honestly, it's been driven by property values that have been increased because it costs way more to buy and to build a school, to build anything. It costs more right now. So they were increasing your values 12.5%, 7%, 8%, where usually the values increasing are 4%, 3%. And so that's been the last 3 or 4 years, they've been trying to catch up to what the real construction values are. And that's what has driven and honestly drove quite a bit of your exposure this year as well. That's leveling off, however, because you're getting to a place where it's there. And honestly, people are building less, so there's more competition for pricing, which is what we want, right? Competition drives the market for value, especially for us. So that's what we want, and we're seeing that slightly. So we'll latch on to that, hopefully it sticks. The agency service fee, that's our annual fee. It goes up 3% a year. That's $39,356. The cyber coverage went down $10,000. That is very unusual for the last 3 years. In fact, most cyber policies, most cyber carriers would not even touch K-12 or public entities whatsoever. You are a high target. We tend to have less security in general and a very high use, and we're a target by those people that want to do us harm. Your staff has done a phenomenal job. Honestly, the political will of Superintendent Pullen, the money side, and then the time to do it has been a partnership that's been going on for a while. They've met with, on the phone, the IT team with the carriers multiple times, telling their story, getting input, doing what's being asked. And so you have the full value of $1 million of coverage for ransomware, which is the goal for cyber, by the way. Everything else is important, but that is the number one thing. Get the full limits and a $10,000 reduction in price. That is a win. So shout out to the IT groups. And then we've got workers' compensation went from 150,000 to 157,000 for a grand total of 1.126. The difference is $102,000 total. Oh yeah, thank you. The PACE provides a 5% credit for people who do the toolkit. And it's a thing that they do every single year. It says, hey, here are these 3, 4, 5 things to do. Could be attend a training, could be do training yourself, could be complete these best practices surveys. It's not easy to do, and I bet you only probably 50 to 60% of school districts do it. And it's a 5% discount on your general liability premium. It's free money for things that you honestly should be striving for every year, and you guys do that. That is a commitment that your team makes. Thank you for bringing that up. And like I say, it's not a given at all, and it's a stretch, but you guys do it, which I appreciate. The next page looks like this. Is a breakdown of kind of the year-to-year by line of coverage for PACE. So the property, the liability, and then the automobile and the crime. The one thing about this I want to point out is the property line. If you see the exposure for the 22-23 policy year, 324,516,000, and then the next year going across 373,835. That is the idea of increasing values based upon the cost of insurance, their trending values, and by the things you're adding as well and adjusting. These property schedules, auto schedules, and equipment are living, breathing documents, and the team does a great job, Rich, and of course Kim do a great job of managing that, and that's a moving target to say the least. So that's a good thing. But with that comes higher costs, and as you can see, that's $60,000 of the increase for PACE just in property alone. Which is what we're seeing generally. So let's go ahead and go to the next page. Any questions on that? The next page is your property coverage. Now remember, you're in a pool, so you're sharing limits, but you have up to $100 million per occurrence for your property coverage. Now that means that if you have, this school burns to the ground and something terrible happens to the whole school, up to $100 million is the max you're going to get for all things that. You are in a urban setting here, but you have some rural schools, right? And so that's a consideration. If you have 3 schools, 5 schools, 10 buildings damaged at the same time, you only get $100 million per occurrence. And that is what PACE offers. So that is the thing that is real and you need to understand. It's a shared limit, but that is the coverage. Any questions about that?
So if and when the subduction zone earthquake comes.
Okay, now that's quake and flood. That's a separate.
Okay.
But no, because it's actually something where you are actively underinsured for quake and flood. Although I would love to sell you more. I'm an insurance salesman. I would love a second house in Lincoln County. Darn it. So quake and flood, well, let's just get down. That's a great segue. Quake and flood, you have $10 million per occurrence, up to $10 million. The entire pool purchases $450 million worth of quake and flood. The whole pool does, but they have 300 members. 300 members, he's getting $10 million. That doesn't work out in the math. So what this is this is a baseline for those like spring break quakes, back in the late and early 90s where you have like just some regional rumblings where you have some bricks and facades maybe damaged. That's for that. If you have the large subduction zone, the ring of fire, then FEMA is who you and every other K-12 environment is choosing to lean on. To get an idea, to purchase $10 million extra of quake, it's about $100,000 a year. So to go to, let's say, $100 million of the coverage, which is way less than you need for your district, it'd be $900,000 more per year. And FEMA doesn't give you credit for insuring stuff more. They actually only give you credit for 75% of what you don't insure. So you're paying for it, you're getting paid from your insurance, and then FEMA doesn't give you more credit because of that. You're in the same boat as everybody else. So I say, well, I'd love to sell it to y'all. The group has made that choice, but if you want to sleep at night, we can quote those kind of things. Are obviously always good. Good questions. Let's go to 2 more pages. For 3 more pages, flip a breakdown. This is just part of the property coverage. It's on page 9. This is covering your pressure vessels, your HVAC units, your equipments, boilers, chillers, that kind of stuff. And that's where if Rich sees a problem and they have to replace something like a phone system or a boiler, he lets Kim know. Kim calls me and we ask and we see if there's a possibility for coverage. That's an added benefit there on top of the property coverage. Crime, you have $1 million worth of crime insurance. Crime is money lost. Crime is not someone vandalizes your building, that's property insurance. Crime is money is taken, embezzled, what have you. This also takes care of the statutory requirement that you have a bond for certain positions in the state. This is $1 million cover for any volunteer, board member, or employee. This covers all of those actions for all of them, not just 1 or 2 people that you might do as per the requirements. Any questions about that? That's sometimes asked. Great. Okay, liability. This is the fun one. So you have $20 million of coverage per occurrence. I mentioned this before that's a lot of limits. The most that PACE has paid in any 1 year is $3.5 million for 1 claim. So to have $20 million is a lot. There's a coverage change that is a little wonky in that the last $5 million of a $20 million tower, let's call it, there's a $15 million aggregate. Staff knows about it. We've talked. It just means that if 3 other entities all have $20 million losses in the same year, the 4th person only has 15. If that happens, we got serious problems. So those are very, very serious losses. So that was a complete, the reasoning for that is the marketplace has been paying a lot of abuse issues nationally. And so that's just keeping them from doing those high limits. But the fact that you still have those limits, full limits for EPLI, employment practices, and abuse and molestation, that's a huge win. Let's get to the secondary, let's go to business auto on page 14. You have $15 million of auto liability coverage. That means you've got, that's for any vehicle driven on behalf of the district. So any auto driven by a board member, volunteer employee, as long as you're in the course and scope of your duties, right? Course and scope, you're driving any vehicle, this insurance will respond. If you're driving your personal vehicle is primary. This is excess. Okay, does it make sense? But that's a lot. So good for you guys. And then let's go to workers' compensation. Actually, I'm sorry, cyber, one last cyber thing. The cyber poll on page 16, the very bottom of that where it says cyber edge, cyber extortion insurance, that's the ransomware. That's what cyber extortion is. We're holding it against you. You have $1 million for liability and the retention on top of the PACE. So that's your coverage on that, which is very, very good. Very happy with that. And then workers' compensation, page 19. So this is a very interesting graph. Bear with me how I'm going to describe it. So not the graph, but the total payroll in the middle of this is 36,506,400. That's the reported payroll this year. So based upon that payroll, it's right there in the middle, if you guys see it. There in the middle. The 36 million, that is this year's anticipated payroll. So using that, we take last year's rates and the mod is a multiplier depending on your experience, how good or bad you've done compared to what they expect, versus this year's rate and this year's mod. So the rates, if you just take the rates last year versus this year, the rates would have been 165, 462 last year. They went down just the rates to 148,230. The rates are cheaper for workers' compensation through SAFE, which is great. And we've had that about 14, 15 years now in a row, inexplicably, but we don't ask questions because it's cheaper rates. When you apply your experience rating, where you were at a 1.11 experience, you were slightly above the expected or the average for a K-12 district, statewide or regional wide, you went up slightly to a 1.15. So instead of an $18,000 credit off the 165, you have a $22,000 credit off the 148. Y'all see that?
Perfect.
That is very good still. We're always working to get better, but that kind of shows you kind of how those things matter. The rates is the first thing based on payroll, and then the mods apply to that. And that gives you, then you have some credits and debits, taxes and other things. There's a premium discount about 5 lines up. This year you got 27,588. You belong, there's just larger groups that you have, your parks interest, such a big environments that they give those credits saved to us. And so it's a great thing that they just allow you, because you're a large insured for them. And so they help kind of smooth things out over the long run, giving credits here and there. It's been pretty consistent. So that is my thing. We talk about this next year. Okay, so from my side, this was a very good renewal. I cannot tell you how happy I am with the cyber portion. That is something we're not seeing with other K-12s. It's been very, or cities or counties. So it's something that I really appreciate you guys giving your IT people a good kudos, and thank you, Kim, for that. Okay, I need a lot of information. I've talked very monotone. This is not my policy. What questions do you guys have? This is exciting stuff. Yes.
So we say we don't agree with you that this is the amount of money that we should pay for this. What choices do we have looking for another insurance?
So there are other carriers that will provide you property insurance. There are no carriers that we go out to market and ask for input from other areas and say, okay, here we actually redact it and say, listen, here's an example of a school district that is small, medium, and large. And we redact the name and say, listen, here's the coverages that they get, here's the coverage document. And how much would you charge for that? Do you have limits? Do you have the costs, the coverages? And the marketing salespeople, yes, we're so excited. We're gonna get you great options, because our job is options, right? We great options. You can go in there and compete. Like, excellent, we want to compete. And then come back, and then the underwriters come back and say, yeah, we're not going to throw anything near this limit. So we'll give you $5 million maybe. We can go up to 10, but it's going to be way more expensive. They wouldn't even give us a number. So right now, there is no competition to PACE other than self-insurance, which you're not large enough to be self-insured at this point. PACE is a 501s, they're a government agency, they're not a for-profit entity, but that is the only option right now for general liability side. If you, like I say, you can't split them, so you have to stay with them if you want to have both, but you have to have both permanent. But if you did find another option, we could split it up and go a different direction. But right now, this is your only option for the school district general liability, which includes simulation, directors and officers, all the different coverages. It's a pretty amazingly broad coverage document, because remember, it's covering community colleges, school districts, and other things. All the CTE programs you're talking about, most of the commercial carriers would not touch that with a 10-foot pole. They would not simply want to be around that, especially with the boat stuff. And the smaller boats than the speed. That's a great question.
I'd just like to get salesmen and little notice.
Yeah. No, I love it. So, anything else?
Any other questions or comments?
I appreciate our relationship.
Thank you.
That's what, once you get to know us and our needs, I think it makes it easier for all of us. So, thank you.
Yeah, and your team is not afraid to reach out, which is a superpower. Because those people that don't reach out and end up in the darkness, and that's not a problem for you. And I appreciate Superintendent being a part of our meetings often. She's been a really good purveyor of that, and allowing staff to be aggressive, which is going to help your kids. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we will now hear more of the Kim show for this month's monthly
Let's get
financial report.
back to where we need to be.
It's
We are.
7B.
Just as as a reminder, if you ever get off track where we're going, if you just quickly at the top click follow, because I'm on the page, you'll go there and then you can turn it back off and do your own looking around, but that'll bring you back to where we're at.
I need some schooling. I didn't know that's.
That's if I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
You only got behind twice.
Old dog learning new tricks.
Okay, everybody on board with
We're there.
Kim's
Okay.
financial report?
I've updated financial reports as of May 31st. On the general fund revenue and expenditures, I want to point out the blue highlighting. We got our May state school fund payment, that'll be the final one for this year, $1.2 million. And that amount is less the food services state match that we have to do every year. It's a little less than we budgeted, which was about 25,000. And then we had our 22-23 state school fund final reconciliation. And I had, we track that throughout the year and we book that so that we don't spend that money in case we do end up having to pay back the state. It ended up being about $400,000 that we owed the state this year, and I had booked about $1 million, so we recovered $540,000 there. And then the green cell below that is, as I mentioned last month, is our high cost disability grant. Preliminary for 23-24 was $799,000, less the final adjustment for last year for 22-23 of a negative $625,000. So that's another $174,000. And then on the ADM, we're down about 13 students monthly, and then overall year to date compared to the budget amount, we're down about 174.3. But remember, the state school fund fluctuates with local revenues, the weights around the district, so all of that fluctuates throughout the year. On the general fund comparison, you can see we're about $1.2 million above anticipated in monthly revenue. Again, remember these projections are based on our budgets and the average percent that we've received or expended during the same time period over the past 8 years. It used to be, we look back 6 years, but I expanded that a bit to account for, to smooth it because of COVID. So some of these things are timing differences. But the biggest increase there is in the state school fund reconciliation. And also we got our state timber payment that came in quite a bit higher. And then we're underspending still as normal in employee benefits, and supplies was down some. The purchase services is up, but that's because we paid for 2 months of transportation. Normally we would pay the May invoice in June, but it was paid on May 31st. It didn't get held, so that's going to inflate that just a bit this month. And on the purchase services comparison, you can see that as well. Also, in purchase services in May every year, we reconcile the charter school payments. And so that is part of that large jump that you see there from $457,000 last month to $1 million this month in May. Part of that was due to the rate jumped from $9,893 per student to $10,201 per student over the course of the year. And so, and then with ADM adjustments as well. And I've got those details if you're interested. The 22-23 reconciliation, though, for the charters was only about $50,000. And the special revenue funds, get a reminder that the fund balances that are in the negative with the 3 asterisks, those are because those are reimbursement grants. We spend money and then we're reimbursed by the grantor. And the curriculum fund, we'll note that we have $313,000 encumbered there. That is the science curriculum that was approved by the board. We had anticipated paying that out to ESSER funds, but because we're doing the playgrounds, out of those funds, we moved that expense to the curriculum fund. Under states or the small schools grant, Fund 291, you can see we received the revenue for next year, that's 74,000 in state revenue. That will be spent next year by Toledo High School and high school. Next page. Vehicle replacement fund, I've done the transfers from the tech services fund and facilities and maintenance for the year. And tech services bought a van for the $49,000. That's the increment you'll see on that line. And then just a reminder, the first bond debt service and the geo bond debt service, those payments will be coming due on June 30th. So we'll see those next month.
A quick question on the technology fund.
Mhm.
Available for expenditure, 3.3 million. That money's been budgeted for expenditure next year.
They could spend that this year, but yes, that is, most of that will be spent in future years.
Okay.
You can see that nearly 2.5 million of that's in contingency.
Okay.
So really, they would only be able to spend it on that,
Okay, gotcha.
which we don't have funds to. On bills and claims, there's some additional work on the high school grandstands. On the entrance. We have some expenditures for the FEMA grant out at Arcadia. Because wildfire mitigation grant we done. There's curriculum, software, added summer institutes, professional development. Our annual audit services for the spring visits. Our enrollment forecast contracts, we're paying that out in work in progress. So that's a partial payment there. We order staff Chromebooks this time of the year to be ready for the next school year. The large payment to Oregon Coast Community College is for our Grow Your Own grant tuitions. That's our staff that is attending school at Oregon Coast Community College.
So is that for the past year or
Yeah, it's for this current year.
23,
Yeah. Mhm. And then that also includes our welding program, our nursing program, and all our dual credit programs with the Oregon Coast Community College, those for high school students.
Is it possible to see a breakout of that? I mean, not right now, but sometime.
Yeah, I would find that really interesting.
Normally, we don't pay the entire thing in one payment, but I know that they've had some staffing disruptions in their business office. And so I think
I guess
that's why we got the
kind of
ability
jumps
to-
out to me. So
It
it's
does,
kind of like to see how it breaks down.
It also comes out of multiple funding
It does.
sources, so it's not just general fund, but a lot of it's out of high school success, so we can get that broken down.
So I just think
Yeah.
it's a good thing to know.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. This report is all funds, so some of these are grants. And then there's at the bottom line, Tom Stevens boiler repair, that's the labor and materials for the boiler here at Newport High School. And then a couple of lines up is the IRS environmental, that's the asbestos abatement and testing that happened here. That's the charge for that. Any questions? And then the investment reports, again, balances typically go down this time of year. Because most of our revenue comes in the fall. And interest rates are holding steady still.
Any questions or further comment?
Thanks, Kim.
Okay, so we have written report from first student in the agenda. Is there a representative who would like to speak?
I'm here.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me?
When I was reading it, I read about the mobile manager,
Yes,
and that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
it is cool. The drivers don't always like it,
No,
but I do call them in and or we have actually 3 managers who call in drivers and speak with them if their scores go below a certain
yeah.
level, and we discuss speeding, we discuss idling. Fast acceleration and hard braking, so those are the 4 major points we discuss with our drivers. This month, we focus on speeding, just because we have some heavy lead footed
I've seen it.
drivers out there. So it helps, actually, we see our points move up, the drivers improve, and they take it to heart, and actually Walport likes to make, compete against each other. And they're very disappointed when their score goes below 5.
Well, I appreciate the effort
Yeah.
to maintain safety
Absolutely.
and efficiency, and that's really good guy.
Yes, it helps.
Good report.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Any more drivers on the horizon? You've got a
We
couple.
have, yeah, we have 5 in training right now, and we are heavily investing in recruiting this summer, time and money. So we are hoping to pull more applicants in, pull more candidates in, so that we don't have to rely on Montana, Alaska, and
Yeah. Crazy.
and Seattle. So
Well, good luck with that. I hope-
Thank you,
I
yeah.
hope you get a ton of drivers.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, darling, thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
And maybe I didn't see that there was a written. Down one. Yeah, under nutrition services. Yeah. And Jamie here. There she is. Ready?
Hello.
Okay,
How are you guys this evening?
good.
Last day of school tomorrow.
How about that?
We're getting ready to start our summer programs, our summer feeding, so that will start Monday. We have a little bit of a break for our staff, and then we'll just play back into it on Monday. So we have a site in each area that'll be open for breakfast and lunch. And then we'll open up all our sites when our summer school sessions happen during the August events. And those will be open for everybody, so if a parent is dropping off a kid that's enrolled and they have a toddler, they can bring those kids in and meet as well, so.
I just am so amazed that this is something that we offer the community to support the community, even when there's no school going on. It's just the right thing, and makes me proud.
This year we had more staff wanting to work this summer than we've had in the past, so we actually had to turn people away, which was odd. Yeah, which never happens. And then also coming back this next year, with the exception of 5 employees, all of my kitchen leads are coming back. So the training should be minimal, and I think we only have 5 employees that we have to replace, and people are already applying, so there's a positive there as well.
Very good.
So
Successful program. Yeah. In our world, that's really good news, if you're not starting over from scratch.
yeah. Our office has just moved. I missed it. I was in Roseburg. These guys moved.
Perfect timing. Shout out to Rich's guys. So we found out, I think last Wednesday, that they were gonna start moving us Friday. And so just because of construction and things, and so we jumped in and he had his guys there. And Patty's other 2 folks on site jumped in, and we are in and going and have tech all set up and ready to roll for a normal workday tomorrow. So it's
Wow.
pretty impressive to watch them. And we have a lot of stuff. It's not just like a couple offices and desks. We have all our supplies. They moved all there for us. So still at Arcadia, but just into another section of the building.
And we'd like to thank the tech department as well.
I have a quick question for you. When I look at this, I just wondered, how are we letting people know about this free breakfast and lunch?
Yeah, we have a flyer that will get out, you know, Susan, we send it to her and she'll get out on social media, but I was hoping that we can get it on the reader boards. We put on the electronic reader boards and I just had that thought the other day, so I think we're gonna get that on the electronic reader boards as well. I mean, the state gives you flyers and banners and stuff that you can hang out. We've never really had really good luck with that. It's more of word of mouth. So if you can find those community hubs or organizations that support feeding people in general and get them to sort of filter people through, that's really where you get the benefit from it.
Yeah, I'm just worried, yeah, that not enough people know that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
There was some folks, looking for information and the distant first year.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear.
Oh, yes, yes, that's on the
website.
Yeah, it's on the website. Yeah, it's, and we're trying to make more of those connections with people who know their community well. Unfortunately, you know, if no one shows up, then we end up having to close the sites because it's just somebody sitting there and we're wasting food and resources. And so we really encourage people to show up and take advantage.
I mean, I don't know if this is gonna help you with, I don't know if it qualifies for a PSA or.
We've done reminds in the past. We've done every resource that we have through the district to let families know we utilize already. Those reader boards, I think, is the only one that we've never done, and I thought maybe that would help a little bit.
I just, you know, if you're going to the effort to put it out, and we know that there's families that need it, and just, we need to make that connect.
Yeah. The other thing that's happened over the last couple of years is our department has worked really closely with the site coordinators and the health program. And so we've crossed resources and made more connections that way with our food pantry especially. And so we've got a lot of that lined up for the summer where these people have already got their stock and have people like last backpack bags have gone out, but they know where to go if they need more food and all of
Like
that.
food banks, I mean, I'm just thinking about.
All the things,
all
yes,
the
yes.
people,
Mhm.
places that people will go because it's so important.
It is.
Thank you.
Do you guys track use over the summer?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, love to hear how it turned out
Yeah.
this coming summer. And just want to say I appreciate Sodexo's scholarship donations. These are the high schools. It makes a difference to the kids that get those scholarships, and we appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
It really is a pleasure. Just one quick thing too is ODE also has a 211 phone number that people can call, and it will tell you wherever there's a food program in the summertime within the state. We have actually had people come through on vacations and they've planned their vacations based on where the summer lunch or breakfast program is going to be wherever they're traveling. So it is, and I believe it's a 211 number.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Okay, on to board reports. Do any board members have anything they would like to report on? Okay. Mike, it's your last chance. Is it done?
Graduation week.
It sure was.
Yeah. It was one of the best, you know.
Fantastic. Glad to hear it.
With sixth graders, racing last night.
Oh, cool.
Days of schedule.
This,
A lot of graduation. I was lucky enough to attend 3 graduations on Saturday. Half high school, and then I went out to Slet's charter school, and then ended up here at Newport High School. And I noticed a common theme I felt with the students that spoke, and they were full of gratitude for where they were. They were all feeling like they had worked really hard, and they were happy the people, their families and the communities that supported them to get where they were. And they all seemed to really have a really caring sense about each other too. And I just felt it more than I ever have. I've gone to lot of graduations here, and I really like to see that support of one another and your fellow classmate. And, you know, wishing them well and seeing that all that they've accomplished in these, you know, it's been rough years for them in high school going through COVID. And I really felt like I felt like they burst out just glowing, and I'm just so proud of all of them. It was a great day to spend.
Yeah, I agree. I went to Eddyville's graduation and Toledo's graduation and saw the same sort of thing. A class of, especially at Toledo, what a great graduation outdoors up on the field. It was a beautiful day, and just the cohesiveness of that group was just wonderful to see. On May 20th, I went with Maya Lisa to visit some classrooms at Ocean Lake and Taft, 712. And we followed that with building facilities tours of Ocean Lake, Taft, 712, and Taft L. And Liz was there too. And the purpose of board members going to the buildings at this point is for us to get more familiar with what the building facility needs are as part of our research as we're moving into considering going for a replacement bond in May of 2025. We're gathering all this information, and we're going to get detailed facilities analysis in the fall from a company called Brick. I think that's the name of it, and that's going to help inform our ability to make a decision for the best interest of the students in the district. On May 30th, I attended the Educational Equity Advisory Meeting. We used to call it the Equity Meeting. It's got, I think that's a state name. Yeah.
Must be.
Yeah. It's not the relevant form.
You're right, then. That's not what I call it, but yes.
Oh,
you're
yeah,
right.
okay, well, I want to be accurate. And we, one of the things that we discussed was the public complaint procedure. And part of equity is accessibility. And so, I don't know if it was you or it was Sandy Money who rewrote it, the policy using ChatGPT at a 5th grade level. And it was remarkably clearer. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. On June 3rd, Liz and I toured Newport High and Newport Middle. We were with Rich and the principals. That was great. On June 4th, I toured Crestview and Walport 712. On the 7th, that's when I went out to Eddyville. They had 18 grads. Saturday, went to Toledo High graduation, and I got to hand out diplomas, which was very cool. So it's kind of the best job. You don't have to speak. You just get to stand up there and give them the diploma and shake a hand. And yesterday we toured, you couldn't view, I couldn't make it to Sam Case, but Liz did, so that was really good. All right, moving on to superintendent's report. Dr. Gilmore.
Okay, just a couple things. One, it was a great graduation week, so I appreciate everybody getting out to all of the graduations. It's fascinating in a district our size to have 6 distinct towns that graduate students and how different that looks in each one of them, yet the similarities between them. So it really is a great time to go out and watch. I went to Taft Elementary's Donuts with Grown-Ups, which was very exciting. We have a Donut with Grown-Up founder who happens to be in the room today. I hadn't been yet, but Amy wrote a grant that was able to fund once a month. Adults are able to come in to Taft Elementary School and have donuts and coffee. Staff supervises, and there's books in English and in Spanish that are sent out for students to be able to read to their families. And it was just a great time for about 30 minutes for me to interact with some families, but to hear kids and adults reading together, which was just great. One thing that I just wanted to point out, we've been just fantastic graduates at all of our schools that I'm very proud of. One of them that is getting a lot of traction on social media that I find really interesting. Susan's probably been following it. She tracks it. When I was at Taft's award night, Nozomi Yumanishi earned his associate's degree from Oregon Coast Community College at the same time he earned his high school diploma, which does happen at our high schools. Usually there's 5 or 6 students possibly a year, but what hasn't happened is he was actually picked to be the student speaker for Oregon Coast Community College, which I think is awesome that one of our graduates who took our dual credit and then their early college was able to now not only represent Lincoln County School District, but represent Oregon Coast Community College at their graduation, and that's tomorrow night. So I was very, very proud of him and proud of our staff that has helped make that happen. The last thing that I have for superintendent's report tonight, if I could call Susan Skydema up. One of the criteria of the resolution for the board for information gathering to determine next school year if they want to go out for bond renewal was to conduct a survey of family, community, staff, and students. And so Susan's gone through and compiled the kind of summary of results. So she won't show you each line by line that we have tonight, but she will show you the summary that she compiled of that report.
And this is a pretty brief one because we had a total of 862 respondents, which ended up being 3,700 answers. So we asked students K through 3, we asked staff, we asked community and families, and then we asked students 4 through 12. We sent that out through Remind and emails and put it on Facebook. And also at meetings we had little cards and QR codes when we went to chamber events. So that was our total. For brevity and for this purpose, I'm just going to talk about the first question that we asked everybody, which was, what aspects of our school facilities do you think are in most urgent need of improvement or investment? We also asked everybody how they thought improving our schools would help their education. We also asked them about technology upgrades they would like to see and how best we could communicate about our bond if we decide to go for it. But again, I'm just going to talk about the first question. So the first one is our staff. We had 65 respondents. Their number one need that they see was upgrades of our bathrooms. They want them cleaner, more private. They mentioned broken stall doors, non-functioning toilets, and the need for more gender neutral bathrooms. Classroom upgrades came in second. You'll see a theme through all of these, except for the K through 3. They have their own little take. Updating older spaces. People mentioned HVAC a lot. Specifically, TAF 712 respondents saw the need for separate middle and high school facilities, which of course would be a new building. And then coming in at number 4, no, I just did 3 on those. The top 3, because we're going brief. For the family and community, we had 223 respondents. Again, the number one area they saw that needed improvement was bathrooms. Again, it's the same problems they saw as our staff. The second, for them, they thought auditorium and theater space is a necessity for our students. The third was outdoor learning spaces and playgrounds, upgrading those. Classroom upgrades and additions. And then finally, general maintenance and upkeep, which include things like roofing, painting, and lighting. Our K through 3 students, we sent a spreadsheet out to the teachers, and they asked the students and then recorded their responses. So they just had 3 questions to answer. They wanted more recreational space, more playground equipment, better playground equipment, more outdoor space, and rain covers so they could be outside in inclement weather, and improved classrooms and furniture like bean bags and couches and carpet. And, you can imagine.
Snow cone machine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So those were our youngsters. For our students 4 through 12, we had 545 respondents.
That is awesome.
That was pretty good. Yeah, I was pretty impressed with that. And a lot of them were very well thought out too. Again, bathrooms come in at number 1. Also the same kind of issues that the other groups have reported. Outdoor areas again comes in high. Covered areas, better sports facilities was one in this that they commented on. Number 3 was classroom enhancements. Again, additional learning spaces. A lot of kids mentioned better CTE facilities and things like that. Specialized facilities, again, auditorium and theaters, and updated HVAC systems. So combining all the findings, and by the way, this was my assistant Claude, who's my AI assistant. The key findings from all responses, the top areas needing improvement, which you could have guessed was bathrooms, classroom upgrades, specialized facilities, outdoor learning spaces and playgrounds, and HVAC systems. And then the top reasons for benefit of this investment, the number 1 thing was they noted improved student learning, engagement, and achievement, enhanced safety and health and well-being for students and staff, increased pride in their school, and preparation for future career and educational opportunities. So that's all I have. That is a really brief summary. I'm going to share this deck with you. I also have a longer summary that has 27 slides that goes in each question, and I will share that with you tomorrow. And I can also share the raw data if anybody has interest in going through 3,700 answers. Do you have any questions?
I think you put it together really nicely.
Yeah,
sure.
It really, it's good, and you know, we can see the commonality of
Yeah.
the responses.
Yeah, and each group besides the K through 3 had the same. The same.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Especially a pool.
Right, a pool.
Pretty
Very
good, yeah.
practical.
Right.
Yeah, something you can love.
And I think Eddie helped you.
Nope.
No, that would be Claude. Claude's my AI assistant.
Anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. You're welcome.
Thanks, Sue. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we have consent calendar and then some action items, and bear with us because we have a lot of votes tonight. So we'll start with the consent calendar, and the chair will now entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as published in this month's board agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, let me catch up here so I can keep track. It has been moved by Liz Martin and seconded by Mike Rawls to approve the consent calendar as published in this month's board agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, 5-0. Consent calendar is approved. Let's one down. Okay, so, before we get that. Okay, that's that. Now we're on to Compass. Yeah,
Correct.
okay. So our first action item is the Compass online designation. Boards are required to take action for new institutions, name, address, and grade changes, closures, type changes, and splits and mergers. With the update we received from Dr. Tolan last month on Compass School, we need to officially update their information. The chair will now entertain a motion to update the location of the Compass School to 322 Northeast Eads Street in Newport. Do I have a motion? Okay, all right, second. And do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, so it has been moved by Megan Colley and seconded by Centilla McKinley to update the location of the Compass School to 322 Northeast Eads Street in Newport. Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed say no. The ayes have it, 5-0. Motion passes. Here's the big one, and I've got a lot to read, so bear with. It's about almost a page and a half. This is the budget, yes. So this is a resolution adopting the 2024-25 budget. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Lincoln County School District hereby adopts the budget for the fiscal year 2024-25 in the total amount of $172,537,208 now on file at the District Administrative Office, 1212 Northeast 40th Street, Newport, Oregon, and on the district website at www.lincoln.k12.or.us. Be it further resolved that the amounts for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024, and for the following purposes are hereby appropriated. General Fund, $84,383,778. Special Funds, $40,269,594. Debt Service, $13,304,693. Capital Projects, $3,372,635. Self-Insurance Fund, $5,764,650. For a total of $147,095,350 in appropriations. The total unappropriate and reserve amounts are as follows. The General Fund, $5,353,840. Special Reserve Funds, $3,883,315. Debt Service Fund, $16,204,703. For a total of $25,441,858. These amounts total the $172,537,208 for the 2024-25 budget. Specific appropriations by function can be found in the resolution document as presented in the June 11th, 2024 board forward. Be it further resolved that the following ad valorem property taxes are hereby imposed for the tax year 2024-25 upon the assessed value of all taxable property within the district. 1, at the rate of $4.9092 per $1,000 of assessed value for a permanent tax rate, and 2, in the amount of $6,572,103 for debt service for general obligation bonds. And be it further resolved that the taxes imposed are hereby categorized for purposes of Article 11, Section 11B as subject to the education limitation tax at a permanent rate of $4.9092 per $1,000. And under the excluded from limitation category, the general obligation bond debt service of $6,572,103. Furthermore, the Board of Directors of Lincoln County School District hereby directs the superintendent to implement the 2024-25 budget as adopted, adjusting as necessary for up-to-date information. Do I have a motion to adopt this resolution number 2024-05? So it has been moved by Mike Wallace. Do I have a second?
I second.
No, Santilla?
Yeah.
Okay, and seconded by Santilla. To adopt this resolution number 2023/2024-05. Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it 5-0. Resolution 2023/2024-05 is hereby approved and declared adopted this 11th day of June 2024. This resolution and the specific appropriations by function can be found in the June 11th, 2024 board folder published on our website. Ooh, that was a lot.
Good work.
Good
Smart.
job.
I don't know, I could probably go some too slow.
No, I'm good. But
Okay.
beer after.
Want to drink water?
Good. Okay, so we're now on to custodial contract renewal. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the Sodexo custodial contract effective July 1st, 2024, as published in the board folder. Do I have a motion? Okay, And do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so it has been moved by Megan Colley and seconded by Liz Martin to approve the Sodexo custodial contract effective July 1st, 2024, as published in the board folder. Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, 5-0, the motion passes. On to the food service contract renewal. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the Sodexo food service contract effective July 1st, 2024, as published in the board folder. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Thanks, Mike. Do I have a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Mike Rawls and seconded by Liz Martin to approve the Sodexo food service contract effective July 1st, as published in the board folder. Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, 5-0, the motion passes. On to the school calendar update. Before we take action, Dr. Tolan will explain this small change to the previously approved 2024-25 school calendar.
Yeah, and I've asked Dr. DeVries to come up and explain the reason why we feel this change is necessary and wanted to make it before staff left, if at all possible.
Right. So the board has already approved the calendar for next year, and then upon reflection, when we were at the professional development for May 17th this year, many of our staff are unavailable to come to professional development that day. OSAA activities and athletics are often at that very time, and so our administrators are there, and then our staff are also there as chaperones, and then also we're asking them to choose between their own children and professional development on some of those days, which is, that's a hard choice for them. That's one of the reasons we'd like to move the professional development day up into April next year, even though it would be a small change to the calendar that's already approved. And then we're hoping that it improves attendance as well, overall attendance. And then supporting school improvement earlier, you know, if we could fill our days earlier in the beginning of the year, but hopefully the April time may be better for schools rather than later in May.
When we pulled attendance for that day, we had 54 certified teachers that were gone. The rest of the professional development days for that year, we were in the 20s to really low 30s. But what was more striking than the high number of absences were 20% of those staff members were doing school business. So they weren't absent from work, but their work took them out of the professional development that we were having. And that's a big difference on that day compared to the other days in the school.
I think it's a good catch.
Yeah. Professional development is really important for our staff, and we want as many people as possible too.
Definitely, and then the schools have a hard time if their staff is missing.
Yeah.
Many of their teachers, and they're not able to move them forward, so it's a small change, and then we'd like to, like Mary said, want to get it out as soon as possible, so that people can do it next year as well.
Awesome, Jenna, thanks.
Thank you.
The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the updated 2024-2025 school calendar as published in the board folder. Do I have a motion?
So,
Was it Liz?
No, go ahead.
Okay, Megan, and a second?
Second.
Okay, Liz. So it has been moved by Megan Colley and seconded by Liz Martin to approve the updated 2024-25 school calendar as published in the board folder. Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, 5-0, the motion passes. On to our next action item, the board meeting calendar. Published in this month's board folder was the draft board meeting dates calendar. This calendar continues to follow the same schedule of the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month as the board meeting dates. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the 2024-2025 board meeting calendar as published in the board folder. Do I have a motion? Thanks, Mike. A second? Thanks, Anton. It has been moved by Mike Rawls and seconded by Centil McKinnon to approve the 2024-2025 board meeting calendar as published in the board folder. Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, 5-0, the motion passes. Page and a half more. Eddyville Charter School contracts. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the Eddyville Charter School agreement as well as the lease agreement as published in the May and June board folders. This is a 10-year agreement. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
And a second? Thanks, Megan. It has been moved by Liz Martin and seconded by Megan Colley to approve the 10-year Eddyville Charter School agreement as well as the lease agreement as published in the May and June board folders. Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, 5-0, the motion passes. Siletz Valley Charter School contracts. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the Siletz Valley Charter School agreement as well as the lease agreement as published in the May and June board folders. This is also a 10-year agreement. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Mike. Okay. So it has been moved by Mike Rawls and seconded by Megan Colley to approve the 10-year Siletz Valley Charter School agreement as well as the lease agreement as published in the May and June board folders. Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, 5-0. The motion passes. Last one. Superintendent contract extension. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve a 3-year contract extension for Dr. Elise Tolan as superintendent of schools for Lincoln County School District as published in the board folder under separate cover. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, so it has been moved by Liz Martin and seconded by Scintilla McKinney to approve the 3-year contract extension for Dr. Elise Tolan as superintendent of schools for Lincoln County School District as published in the board folder under separate cover. Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, 5-0, the motion passes. Thanks for your patience, everyone in the audience.
Can I just say,
Please.
I just wanted, people might think that we're rushing through these, but we've taken a lot of time and discussion at previous meetings, so it's just a matter of formality for voting tonight. So I don't want you to think that it's not information that we haven't already looked at and considered and got information. So it's just, yeah. So thank you. I just want to make that statement because of.
I was reading as fast as I could.
No, you did really good, but I just want people to know that we've done a lot of, we've done our business, our due diligence to check everything out that we just
Absolutely.
voted on.
Absolutely.
It seemed like we just ran through it, but no,
It'd be
we've
nice
spent
to-
funds.
It's nice to attend everybody like.
I know that we get home.
Yeah,
The 10 o'clock
news. I think it's positive, we hope you heard about it.
You're doing great, though, thank you, but I just wanted people to know.
All right, very good. So now we're on to items of information and discussion. And first one, I think we are going to,
A1.
we're gonna table the volunteer update until this
I
fall.
can explain mine really
Yeah,
quick.
sure, go ahead.
So we'd like to table the volunteer update because it's kind of goes along with the same idea of why I asked West Area to give their presentation in August. We really want them to have complete data and we're not complete, especially when it comes to summer school and what that whole cycle of a school year with this new position looks like. So when they present, we will have a complete cycle. Also, we've been looking at ways that we can increase volunteers. I actually met with the budget committee member this morning and she was talking to me about ways that she thought maybe people didn't know that they could volunteer. And so how could we partner some of these types of presentations with a board meeting and maybe with a family night or some of those different components. So it will definitely happen, but the presentation will include one full cycle of that position and what that looks like.
Yeah, so excellent. It's amazing that people are spending a lot of time volunteering in the district and more that can be coordinated and expanded. That's just to the benefit of our students. So the board will look forward to hearing about the volunteer recruitment that has been done and what's the upcoming goals will be in the fall. We've already heard about the insurance renewal package presented by Brown. And Kim has one more presentation, I think, for us regarding the organizational resolution that we'll approve next month.
Right, so this is for information. This is our annual organizational resolution. I've updated the dates. And then I just want to note a couple other changes. Under legal counsel, we only had the Hungerford Law Firm listed, but we have several other attorneys that we use, both as federal and local attorneys. We've listed all of those there. And I want to note that we have a vacancy in the budget committee in zone 4 for next year. And the per diem rates did not change this year. I took I took the federal per diem off the GSA site for 7 cities that we typically use for professional development, including Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Sacramento, and then some on the East Coast. And so there was no change. I averaged those, no change in that. And then the IRS mileage rates are updated in January, but because of our fiscal year running from June through June, or July through June, we only changed those in July. And so we're using the 2024 rate, which is an increase to 67 cents. 65.5 cents this year. Any questions?
Okay. We'll look at that, vote on that in our July meeting. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Okay, and finally, we're on to the last section, our board, and we do have a public comment from Dr. Pearson. And Eddie's got 3 minutes on you.
Okay, I received the reply that you guys sent me on my request. And I was disappointed that you don't even address what's right and what's wrong. That you stand by your stand on non-discrimination. The Oregon law prohibits discrimination due to perceived gender identity. I accept that. And I think anybody can be anything they want. And that's fine. But you can't be anything you want and do anything you want necessarily. Right now, the way the discrimination law is interpreted, apparently by most people, a boy who identifies as a girl can use a boy's restroom, a girl's restroom, or a non-gender restroom. And that includes showers too. A girl who identifies as a boy can use a girl's restroom, a boy's restroom, and the non-gender restroom, and of course, again, showers. A person who declares themselves non-binary can use a boy's restroom, a girl's restroom, or a gender-neutral restroom, and by extension, showers. A boy who identifies as a boy, however, is limited to a boy's restroom and the non-gender restroom. Isn't that discrimination? Huh? Or do you know that you know what discrimination is? A girl who identifies as a girl can use a girl's restroom and the gender neutral. Well, again, who is being discriminated against? And you say, well, they're not declaring a gender identity. Well, they are. A boy who identifies as a boy, that's his gender identity. And now he'll be discriminated against. Yeah, I know you're smiling, and I understand. Will be discriminated against simply because he is the same gender as his gender identity. Now, there's only 3 ways you can actually make this non-discrimination equal. Equity. That's everybody's favorite these days. 1, nobody ever gets to go to the bathroom. And you make everybody not have access to a bathroom, then you're non-discriminatory, aren't you? Well, there's no difference between them. Another one is, the other way is, everybody can choose to go to any bathroom they want to. That's non-discriminatory, isn't it? Okay? Or you can go with biological boys can use biological boy bathrooms or the non-gender bathrooms, and biological girls can use biological girl bathrooms or the non-gender, just like the others who are not declared as something other than their gender.
Dr. Thurston, I'd just like to let you know that that's 3 minutes.
See you next time.
Okay. All right. So let's go on to meeting takeaways from board members.
I have been thinking about it.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, but it's just such like a great reflective time of the year. I think just hearing you talk about how we had so many things to vote on. Really, all of those things are things that we've been talking about for months and months. And as we come to the end of the year here in June, I think that it's a good time to think about all of the hard work that we have done during the whole year. Like, we voted on the budget. Really, we start working on the budget like next month. Yeah, okay. And then we'll vote on it again in June. And the superintendent contract, I mean, you and I have been talking about that for months and working on that with Miley's. We really start thinking about that in July and August. So as far as having so many things to vote on, so many things to talk about. Yeah, June is like, it's like the new year, right? Yeah, yeah.
Mike?
I enjoyed the graduation Saturday. I really enjoyed both of them. I really enjoyed Toledo, just like you. I enjoyed talking to a young man briefly that was way up at the top. I mean, this kid was a leader from the get-go. He was ordered all kinds of honors. Every time they had something, he was standing up. And I understood he was going to the Marine Corps, so myself being a Marine, I walked over to talk to the gentleman who was over there. I think he was a recruiter over there with the kid there. And I visited with him for a while, and we, Marines get together, we talk, and then I came back when he was going out to give his medallion out to whoever the people out in the crowd. I asked him to stop by on the way back, and I said, being who you are and what you are, and how you react to people, you're a leader. And I said, you're going to get approached when you get done with your ITR and your OCS. I mean, your ITR and your boot camp and whatnot. They're going to ask you to go to OCS. Don't make the same mistake I made. I turned them down because I was in a hurry to go home with my lead. You are a leader. Take it. Do it. It'll move you up the ladder quickly. No Marine goes to a ring knocker school. They all come out of the ranks. Every Marine general comes right out of rank. There's about 2 or 3 ring knockers that I know of with the Naval Academy. They're very rare. Almost all Marine officers come out of the ranks. So I said, you need to go that route. You'll get education, you'll get promotions, you'll do well because you are a sharp young man. I said, thank you. And I really enjoyed that. And then I got to watch a young lady talk about having been born in Mexico and coming up here with her parents. They both busted their tail and they got her this. And she was this salutatorian. And she spoke and she was amazing. And again, I got to watch that and I was tickled to watch it. So, I mean, and both deals took about an hour and a half. Each one of them. It was really a nice day for it, and I enjoyed it. So as a memory for me, thank you.
It's really inspiring graduation for sure.
Yeah.
So tell them.
Thank you, Mike, for the few years of working together. Thank you. Thank you for coming on last week. She came to our 50th, so my wife was impressed. Of course, you skipped church, you came to our church.
I'm very glad that we passed the budget, so let's go get together too.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you, Carrie, for, I'm listening. I'm listening. I don't always understand things, but I appreciate that this is how you bring issues. And I want to wish everyone here a good summer.
How many words? I'm done. Tired of this. I'll save it for next week.
I would just echo what Megan was saying about working on something all year. The charter agreement that we signed tonight for 10 years, for 10 years really was a all year. It started in October, working on getting that to where we can make that agreement. So I would just echo seems like we just started working on that and then to finish that up for 10 years was great.
I'm gonna just piggyback on all of that. Graduation is just such an awesome time. We have so many successes, and education is such a challenging endeavor. Especially that comes to light at the end of the school year. There's so much that happens. There's some changes that are happening. There's closing up a school, kind of changing gears. It's stressful in a way, and yet I'm so proud of our district for staying with it, staying motivated, staying focused on the benefit of kids. That is just really, really critical. And we're doing it, and that's something for us to keep in the forefront as much as it can get stressful. So I'm really, really happy about that. So, sir, I know you have your hand up.
I'd like permission to address the board before y'all dismiss this meeting, please.
Me too, please.
Did you fill out comment cards?
We don't know what the process is on this, but I assure you want to hear what we have to say. We haven't taken the 3-minute format that you provide, if that's all right.
It's up to the board. But if they don't, I'm not trying to talk about you behind your back a lot, Dr. Tim, I know you can hear me.
I understand.
So if they don't know the process, you would want to make sure the process of what can be spoken about in an open session is very clear prior to, there's only certain things that can be spoken about in open session. It doesn't mean other complaints can't be turned in, which I think some of these maybe have been turned in. But
Would you like to read what I was about to say to y'all before I say it onto your mic?
I think that, yeah, I can stand there, or if you're okay with that. I just want to make sure I know the procedure before, I don't want to shut you off in the middle of speaking.
No, and we're not sure of the protocol, so I appreciate
sure.
the consideration. These are great concerns, so that y'all really want to hear.
Well, we
before this
understand,
escalates.
but there's a way to.
Understood, and we'll make sure to follow protocols here
Yeah.
going forward.
Yeah.
I apologize for being out of
Okay.
order.
You're fine. Yeah, so we would have to stop you if you start it. You can start it, but we can't talk about personnel in open session. I, though, am more than happy to stay after and meet with you to talk about this if you want, and that's something that we can do.
If it's gonna cause me to edit my content to where it wouldn't be clear, then I would just as soon talk with you after the session.
For sure, I'm
So
more
that
than
we
willing
know
to
about
stay.
it that way.
I'm more than willing to stay and do that.
Perfect, thank you very much.
And then I can explain that how your comments can also still go to the board eventually. It's not that they get denied anything from you, but I'll talk you through that process. as well.
I really appreciate that, thank you. I can't speak for everyone.
Yeah, I'd like to say something and I'll try to edit it to not specifically name names. I don't know what the protocol is, but I would like to try. It's important.
It can't address personnel.
Yeah.
I will not address
Yeah.
specific personnel. So my name is Emily and my son is a 10th grade student at class 7 to 12. And this past school year, he has been relentlessly bullied, harassed, intimidated by a teacher. He has wanted to drop out. He has wanted to kill himself. Try not to laugh. I really like you. Oh my God. I have filed complaints with administration.
in December, and I found out as of a couple weeks ago that those complaints were actually not filed adequately. They didn't address anything regarding the bullying or intimidation or anything. I met with administration and I asked for my son to be removed from that class. And I was denied. I have asked between December and May for my son to be removed from that class, and every time I was denied or ignored. I have sent emails and communication to the administration of that school that were completely ignored. May 3rd, I asked to file more complaints, ignored. May 7th, asked to file more complaints and get policy clarification. What's the policy and procedure for when a student is being bullied by a teacher? I was told by administration, there's really no policy addressing that. And the policy is the process. So the process is the policy, and there's not really a process, almost quote unquote. On May 24th, I asked for my son to be removed from the class again and said, I'm just gonna do it myself. And finally, my son was able to go to the library instead. But that was not soon enough, because on May 24th and June 5th, he came home from school wanting to kill himself because of the hostile environment. Staff has been hostile to him. Substantiated complaints about a teacher and staff gossiping in front of him, about him, in front of others and other staff. It's all been ignored, and I have filed complaints, 221 pages worth of complaints in the superintendent's office that are being investigated. I also find out he hasn't used the restroom because he's scared, because staff go to the restroom and watch students as they use the restroom. I am asking you to take my complaint seriously. I don't trust the county school district or the school board or anyone to actually ethically look at these complaints. They were never filed accurately to begin with. Thank you. My legal representation is coming. If you have questions, I'm here.
Well,
Kobe.
yeah, I just want to respond to you just a little bit. I hear what you're saying. There are policies and procedures for complaints and appealing complaints. And I'm sure Dr. Tolan can kind of walk you through those so that you can understand how to better.
It doesn't work when they're not followed.
Can't speak to a complaint that's being investigated and not in meeting, so we can't continue to speak on an investigation that's been filed.
I respect that, but just you're on notice.
Okay, so going on to reminders, announcements.
I don't think I put them in there.
Okay, so we do have our next meeting. We don't have a work session in the end of June. But we do have a July board meeting, and that is
The 9th,
the 9th, July 9th, and that'll be a Zoom one.
correct.
Yeah, and then no work session in July. And we'll kind of back onto August schedule with our regular meeting early in the month. We have a retreat and a maybe not a work session, but a retreat. Okay, all right. So, thank you everyone for coming, and we've got the else of your order. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mike.
One thing I wanted to share.